Well, the largest hunger relief organization here in New York State is now pushing back on the Trump administration after the USDA announced that it will no longer put out household food insecurity reports. The department calling them redundant, costly, politicized, and extraneous. Now, the group No Kid Hungry New York blasted that move, saying, quote, "Here in New York, where half of all families are going into debt to cover the cost of food, we simply can't afford these cuts to the tried and true research and programs that help to keep kids fed. That's why the focus should be on smart policy to eliminate hunger, not on eliminating evidence of hunger." Rachel Sabella is director of No Kid Hungry New York, and she joins me live here tonight. Those were your words. I want to ask you a little more about them. The USDA claiming that these reports were essentially used to scare people and to increase SNAP eligibility. I imagine you disagree strongly with that.
First, thank you for having me, Michael. Second, we disagree. What this report did was help us to accurately tell the story of what hunger looks like. The way these surveys were administered was USDA partnered with the census, and these questions were added to surveys released in December. And then each year, USDA would then analyze the data and the results. So actually, it was an efficient way to do this. It used existing infrastructure, and it really helped us to be able to see where the need is, to see the impact, and then really tailor a response to help communities.
What would the most recent report tell us about hunger? It seems like it's getting worse. That's what we're hearing, at least here locally.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. The last report that we did get from USDA in 2024 had it saying that 1 in 5 children nationally could be facing hunger. New York was consistent in that way. Right now, we are facing the largest cuts to the SNAP program, which is the nation's first line of defense against hunger, which likely means this crisis is going to grow. And it is disturbing to have the data tied to it eliminated when we're likely to see those numbers skyrocket.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you see a connection there between, sort of trying to keep from the public what the impact may be from those cuts.
I think there's a real fear around that. This is something that has been in existence for the last 30 years. It's been used under Democratic and Republican administrations. I also think something so important to remember about the hunger crisis and when people come together to address this has generally been a bipartisan issue. No Kid Hungry did a survey in the spring. 91% of New Yorkers said that this should be a bipartisan priority to ending childhood hunger. We're seeing New York State take leaps and bounds this year. No-cost school meals to every child in New York State. That was a bipartisan priority. It was done with the focus of helping fellow New Yorkers, not about playing politics.
And Rachel, the data tells us all kinds of things, not just about people who are maybe not able to put food on the table, but who are struggling to put food on the table. And I read part of the statement that you put out in reaction to all of this, and it really, I'm sure, struck a lot of people when you say half of all families in New York State are going into debt to cover the cost of food. Put that into perspective for us on how broadly that is impacting people in New York.
We've done a survey the last 4 years, and that was one of the most challenging things that we heard. Families told us that they are going into debt. They are taking money away out of their 401ks in order to afford this. This isn't people putting their groceries on a credit card to get airline miles. This is people saying, if I don't go into debt, I'm not going to be able to feed my family. And we also know when that's a challenge they're facing, it leads to physical challenges, and it really leads to strain around their mental health. So this is something we can and should be coming together to solve, not to make a crisis worse.
In the 20 seconds I have left, is the goal for groups like yours now to go to federal lawmakers on both sides of the aisle and say, force a reversal here?
We absolutely want to do that, whether it is reversing the ending of this report or reversing the cuts that were in the bill that happened over the summer. We need them to put these funds back in and continue to connect all New Yorkers with meals.
Rachel Sabella, director of No Kid Hungry New York. Thanks for sharing your perspective on this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, coming up.